Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience podcast. Today I have with me James Norris. James is a public speaker, mentor, and the founder of Handi Capable Fitness, a nonprofit organization that aims to help those with physical challenges lead a fit and healthy lifestyle by connecting them with the resources to do so. Thank you for joining me today.
Roman, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
Okay, so I'm 35 years old, have cerebral palsy, um, and it mainly affects my legs and my left arm. So I can walk a little bit, but I need a walker and a pair of braces. Um, so how I contracted cerebral palsy, most people it's through birth, but when I was 2.5, I was diagnosed with CP after a botched hernia operation. The mass came off my face during that operation, and my brain was without air for about 5.5 minutes, resulting in CP. Um, and over the last 6 years, I just really realized that I was gaining weight due to my cerebral palsy and being mostly sedentary. I realized I needed to do something. So I joined a gym, got into fitness, ended up falling in love with it. And that passion for fitness has led me to start Handi Capable Fitness.
That's awesome. And well, fitness has helped me through a lot of things in my life. I think that's kind of the gym is my spot to really unwind. Kind of everybody has their own thing to kind of recharge and get grounded. And when I've been dealing with something, I would say in the last year and a half, because of the global circumstances, I really dropped off the gym. But since I was 18 to I'm 36, so for most of that time, I would be consistent at least a few times a week at the gym. But it's one of those things where I think it's important for anyone. And I feel like some people, they may have, physical limitations that are kind of discouraged, to go and work out and have that like a safe space to, build yourself up both like, because it definitely helped me mentally as well, not only physically. As I was building myself physically, it helped me through a lot of things in my life as well.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that. I mean, I tell people all the time when I started on this fitness journey, it was just like everybody else. I just wanted to lose weight. But as I got into it and started to develop these habits and this routine, it all of a sudden became more of a mental thing for me versus a physical thing. Now the physical attributes are the icing on top of the cake, so to speak.
And when did you decide to kind of start your organization? What kind of prompted that? Obviously, you mentioned it a bit, but when was the point where like you decided I'm going to do it now?
Well, as I said, I started on this fitness journey, 6 years ago, and that was after me being laid off from radio. I worked in radio for a little bit here in Boston, and I was like, I originally just started the Instagram just as a way to document my own journey to show my friends and family everything I was doing. And so I started to do that. And the trainer I was working with at the time says, James, he goes, if you're doing this, you never know who you could inspire. And that's how the Handi Capable Fitness Instagram came to be. But I was like, listen, nobody wants to sit here and watch me do bicep curls every day. So let me see if there's other people out there that are doing amazing things. And that's when I started to feature all these other people, whether they have spinal cord injuries, amputations, so on and so forth, because I want everybody represented on the page to give hope to somebody else who could be faced with the same situations. And then, the Instagram page gained a pretty decent following and got some traction. And I was like, I want to take this thing a step further. I've been given a lot in life, and I want to give back. And the way that I decided to do that was through the nonprofit. We became a nonprofit officially in July of 2020. So we've only been around technically, officially, for a couple months now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's important for awareness too that there's services out there in general for different things. I feel like another thing in the US that's kind of like marginalized is mental health. So I see a lot of people, I'm like near the capital of New Jersey and Trenton, not getting the help they need. You can physically see that they're homeless, that they're going through things. I don't think the, state does a good job with providing or making people informed of services. And the other thing is I'm a foster parent. So a lot of the time when kids are in the system and their parents or guardians had their parental rights terminated, and they haven't been adopted, when they get to 18, they age out, but they don't know the services that they have. And then once they age out, it's like you have really nobody or relate to nobody. So like the chances of, them ending up in gangs on drugs. I recently read a survey or a study, the statistics, I think 60% of incarcerated males have been in the foster care system at one point or another. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there that needs a lot of light shed on it, as well as all these people that, oftentimes are marginalized or feel like they're alone in different parts of their life, like that, for them to know that there's other people that are succeeding and thriving just like them, and then there's services to help them, to succeed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've only been involved in adaptive sports here for a little bit, and I didn't know, before I got involved in the Spartan races and the things I've done, that there was all these different things out there. I mean, I played T-ball as a kid, but it's just a matter of getting out there, letting people know and making them aware of all these different services. And by the way, thank you for the work that you do. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, what motivates you to succeed? Obviously, those motivations may have changed over time, but what currently motivates you to succeed?
You know what? Because like I said before, I didn't get to this point to where I'm at today by myself, and I know that there's a lot of people that have helped carve my path, and I realize that I've been given a responsibility to be a leader in this community, and if I don't wake up every day and do the things that I believe my purpose is to do, I feel first and foremost that I'm letting down God because he gave me a second chance at life, and then I'm letting down all the people that depend on me and look up to me to do these things and the people that have helped me get to this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think I lost my grandfather February of 2019. And it was one of those things that was like traumatic, and I was grieving, and I started to shut down a little bit. So, like the things that I was trying to aspire to or do, like this podcast, business wise, my personal relationships and communication, I started to kind of shut down. And then I thought about it, and I knew it wouldn't be fair to me and him if, he knew, and the conversations I've had with him when he was still with us, in terms of that he was proud of me, what I was accomplishing, the fact that obviously I was raising kids that, I wasn't the father of, in terms of providing a safe home and my business and things of that nature. So I thought it wouldn't be fair to him and the people that came before him that got me to this point for me just to give up and quit.
100%, and I think that's one of the things that really drives me is because another thing is that like I spoke about, there's people that look up to me now. So if I don't answer that bell, I could be robbing somebody of a blessing that God was trying to give somebody else through me. And I don't want to have that on my conscience. So that's what really pushes me to wake up and be like, okay, you got to do this every day.
Yeah, and I think through podcasts and social and other platforms that you can get yourself out there, people are watching. You may not know that they're watching, but they're watching. They may not be responding or commenting, but I've had so much feedback out of nowhere that, what I've talked about on other shows in terms of my journey, the guests I've had on and the conversations I've had, that people related and really, it's impacted them. And you don't know who you're going to impact. If you can impact one person, one life, and change the trajectory of their life, then do it. I mean, one of those things, like when I first became a foster parent, I didn't find any resources that much in terms of like foster dads. So foster care from the, male perspective. And I said, okay, well, let me start talking about it and being that person. So if you don't see someone representing you out there, be that representation and be that change.
Yes, I totally agree. And one of the things that I, really try to tell people, and this took a while to develop, I no longer see my cerebral palsy as a disadvantage. I almost see it as a superpower because when I roll into a gym or I roll into the supermarket, chances are I'm going to be the only person in there like that. So there's going to be the eyes on me. People are going to be curious. So instead of getting all shy and shying away and avoiding that, I welcome it. So I go up to people. I tell them, okay, I can see you, looking at me, and that's totally fine. But you have 1 minute to ask whatever you want, any question you want. And what that does is it takes the pressure off of them, and it gets them to really loosen up a little bit. It serves as a great icebreaker. And I now find cerebral palsy to be my superpower because it's allowed me to connect with so many different people in so many different ways. So that's another way I look at it.
Yeah, and whatever's in your life, you can choose to look, down on it, or you can use it like an ability and to your strength. So, if it's something that you're going through or whatever, you can use it as a platform to change lives, like you said, and really connect with people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I know I'm the founder of Handi Capable Fitness, but I'm just the face of it. There's so the athletes that are featured on the page, the people that benefit, the people that support the page, and the organization, you know, those people are the real MVPs. I'm just the face.
That's awesome. So, what's one thing you may have seen as a weakness in yourself in the past that you've turned around and utilized as a strength today?
Confidence and cerebral palsy. Because when I was growing up and I was a teenager, you would never find me out on a Friday night at a football game or at a party with friends because I always thought that people were looking at me because of my cerebral palsy, or they were talking to me because of my cerebral palsy, or vice versa. And what I realized in my self reflection was it wasn't necessarily that people were identifying me as having cerebral palsy, it was me identifying myself by my cerebral palsy and James in the electric wheelchair. It wasn't until I got into fitness that I started to develop this confidence and to peel back the layers of the onion and realize that there's more layers to myself than just my cerebral palsy. It's a piece of me, yes, but it doesn't make up everything.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of coming to terms because oftentimes, like, I've had to come terms with terms in terms of some of the things I've dealt with in the past or some of the things I've seen that impacted me in one way or another in terms of my adult relationships and how I interact with people. So, seeing domestic violence as a child and other things in my childhood that if you kind of keep, or, if you're dealing with something or something comes along in your life or whatever your situation, kind of coming to terms with it, finding a place that you can, be comfortable and really getting out of your own head. Because I think confidence, everybody has the ability to be confident, and even if you see these people on stage talking to tens of thousands of people, they get nervous too. Everybody gets anxious, nervous, and have situations where they lack confidence, but they've developed processes and different things that they reflect to or relate to that get them through that. So everybody's anxious, everybody kind of loses that at one point or another, but some people just do a better job at kind of dealing with it and having processes to do
I,
so.
I I completely agree, and I learned that working in radio because you see, all these celebrities, they would come in or we'd meet them at concerts and we'd be like, I remember a couple times I was like, oh, he's just a human. He's a normal dude just like me. It just his bank account was a little bit bigger because he's found a way to make a TikTok dance or y- you know, God's given him a talent that he's been able to crack open and really take to the moon. So, but when it comes down to it, we all bleed red. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of utilizing, what you're given and using them as strengths. So, me coming here as an immigrant from a former Soviet bloc country and coming with six other family members to a two-bedroom apartment, not knowing the language, and just dealing with different things or hurdles in my life. Like, you can use that as a hurdle and you can give up at that point, or you can use that to fuel you, drive you, and get you to that next point. Because I think in terms of individuals, companies, the companies you see today, Fortune 500 list, majority of them, didn't exist 10, 20, 30 years ago. And those that were on that list are no longer around because a lot of companies just outlast their competitors. They don't give up. They kind of weather the storms and kind of the time, and whatever comes at them, they adapt. And I think it's important to do so it's easier said than done. I don't think anyone, people have a habit of going on social media or YouTube and seeing people always happy or highlight reels of their life. They're always motivated, they're always inspired. And that's not the case in terms of human nature. Everyone's dealing with something, pain, different things in their past, things that, their worry or anxiety. It's just one of those things, finding that thing that makes you recalibrate yourself and gets you to that kind of reset point where you can be mentally able and capable to kind of go on as well.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, one of the things that you hit on there, you talked about your upbringing. You can either use that as, you know, a launching pad or something to keep you down. And I think it's all a matter of perspective. And but I think those struggles have really shaped all of us into the people that we are today. And one of the things I try to get across with Handi Capable Fitness and just in my life in general is everybody has a story and the world needs to hear it because as you said earlier, our words have power and we never know, how they could affect somebody. You know, I just think of it as, hey, I'm just going to the gym because I want to get in better shape. But somebody could look over and see me doing what I'm doing and all of a sudden be like, you know what? That's the motivation I needed to keep going today. And next thing you know, they keep showing up and they develop that consistency.
Yeah, I agree. I often tell people that don't necessarily do interviews or don't necessarily have a podcast. Granted, I don't know if every single person should have a podcast. I mean, they should have some kind of drive to start it and kind of be tied with it so they can kind of go through and keep it going. But everybody has a story, like you said, regardless of what it is. But the people that oftentimes don't share it, they don't think their story is impactful enough. What do I have to share? I'm just like everyone else, or my story isn't as significant as somebody else. But like I said, and like you said earlier as well, like if you can impact at least one person out there that is dealing with something you may have overcome or you may be dealing with now, or a situation you're in or something you've experienced, I think you owe it to to for them to do so, because oftentimes those kind of things, one, could save a life because you don't know the situations people are in, depression, different mental illness, contemplating suicide and all kinds of stuff like that. So you don't know what your words in terms of what power they have. So like you can actually change a person's life and trajectory, and thinking about it that way, it's so impactful. And regardless if podcasts or anything else, if you monetize it or if you have money coming in, when you get that feedback, that email or that direct message where somebody said, this really changed me, or I really, took action, or this really like, you know, got me off the ledge in terms of things I was contemplating, that's what makes it all worthwhile.
100%. And, I want to share this story with you. I had just started Handi Capable Fitness, not that long before this, but I went out to Laughlin, Nevada to do the first ever Paris Spartan race back in 2019. And they called me like 3 weeks before saying, "Hey, listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this Spartan race. Do you want to do it?" I had no idea what a Spartan race was, but I was like, "All right, let's go." And then I YouTubed it, and I was like, "What did I just get myself into?" But then, but then, as I was out there, you know, um, I had a shirt on with my logo, and this woman came running up, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "I follow you on social media." She goes, "My son has cerebral palsy, and because of you, he wants to be a personal trainer." So I went over and I talked to him, and he looked at me like I was the rock or something. And from that point on, I knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you don't know how you can really impact, like I said, impact someone, or who, who's actually watching out there. Because I would say 99.9% of your social media people that are following you, or some people that don't even follow that stumble upon your content, don't engage. So the few messages you may be getting, or 10, 20, or 100, you can multiply that by maybe 10, 20, 30, 40x, that those people are actually seeing it and possibly being impacted by it.
And that's the thing I want to touch upon too is, if these people are taking the time to really write the message and letting you know how you're impacting them, give them a thoughtful comment back. Really go in and look at their profile, see what matters to them, see what makes them tick, and really give a thoughtful response back. Because I know for me, I'm only able to live my dream because of the people that support Handi Capable Fitness. Um, and at the end of the day, this is called social media. So let's use it and be social.
Yeah, and being a human being, we met on Clubhouse and just trying to add value, be there for people and help people throughout their journey. Whatever your expertise is or whatever your situation that you've overcome, like I said, it may fast track someone with like Clubhouse. I love helping people in terms of what I've done in digital marketing or with, my podcast or the new podcast I've launched. And it's great to see people take action. So seeing people actually consume content, it resonate with them and them actually doing something about it, it's a powerful thing because some people, take your advice and, it kind of falls on deaf ears, but the people that take action really do something with it, go and really accelerate in terms of what they're doing.
Yes, and I think, you know, anybody that wants to be successful, I think it's really important that we surround ourselves with people that are more successful than us. And when I say that, I don't mean so we can sit there and we can compare, but to say, you know what, Pedro's doing Pedro's doing this. He's got a very successful podcast. Roman, Tanner, all these guys have really leveled up. I want to be kind of in that realm and carve out my own niche, but this is how they've done it. And I'm gonna pick their brain and I'm gonna make it happen because they're showing me where to level up and how to get there.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one piece of advice you could leave with the audience, personal or professional?
Take action. Because 9 times out of 10, and again, I'm gonna use fitness just because that is what resonates with me and the best example I can draw. You know, when you're in the gym, people aren't necessarily looking at you going, "Oh my gosh, like what's this person doing here?" But it's in your head, and that fear of what somebody else could think or what they think could really stop you from really carving out your purpose in this life and just go with it. Who cares if your podcast doesn't sound great at first? You know, who cares if you don't make the best diet choices, but it's all about just starting and you'll figure things out as you go.
Yeah, taking action is getting out of your own head and taking that first step is, step one because you don't regret the things you didn't, you did try, you regret the things you never did. So 20, 30, 40 years down the line, you're going to be sitting there, what if I took that action? What if I started that company or made that connection or talked to that person? How differently would my life be? And the worst case you can get, like, you contacted me via Instagram DM, the worst answer you could have got was no, or you don't fit my audience or stuff like that. You're going to get no's, you know what I mean, in life with everything. But it's important for that, and I learned that with like roles I was in before I kind of started my company. Just because you get an offer doesn't mean you shouldn't negotiate. You should always
Mhm.
have a conversation and dialogue, because most likely than not, you can come to an understanding that's more beneficial to you than that first kind of offer. So having a conversation, striking a conversation, meeting that person, at least taking some kind of action, at least step one into, doing a new business venture or, pursuing your fitness goals. But if you're never going to start it, you're going to be in the same spot you were, yesterday, a month, a year ago.
Exactly. And the only other thing I'll add to that, besides taking action, is set small goals for yourself. So for me, I knew nothing about fitness or nutrition. Um, but I knew that Walmart had prepackaged salads, and I knew salad was healthy for you. So I went to Walmart and I got a bunch of those prepackaged salads, and I said, "Okay, if I can eat 6 or 7 or 8 of these a week, I know that's taking the first step." And set those small goals for yourself that you can check off each day, and then that's gonna build momentum to get you to that overall bigger goal. You know, set small micro goals that will lead to the overall bigger goal.
Yeah, and you should, like you said, you should have it documented in terms of kind of steps you want to take. Do one small thing every day. Maybe it's park further in a parking lot. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, just take a few extra steps or go up and down your stairs 5, 10 times. Or like you said, substitute a meal with something healthier or a snack with a piece of fruit or what have you. Like those things start adding up as you start doing them, they develop good habits, and then that process, those small steps lead to kind of the big goals that you're looking to reach.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you?
You can find me. I'm just going to say it's super simple because all the social media links are there at handicapablefitness.com, HANDI capablefitness.com.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.